This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, Bill, how are you?
Fine, Luke. How are you?
Doing well. Hey, Scott,
Great.
good to see you. How are you?
Good.
And Marianne, I just heard back from Jerry. He's going to check his calendar and see if he's available on Monday for us to discuss what we were talking about. So let me double check with him. If he can't make it, then you and I can kind of have the meeting.
Okay,
We're just brainstorming at this point, right?
Okay, no problem.
Okay, sounds good. Chris, welcome and thank you so much for the work that you are doing. Just in case folks are not aware, Chris stepped up to serve as our RVP for the Rocky Mountain region. So Chris, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Great to be here.
We're happy to have you here. And just so you know, Chris, you've got a wealth of expertise here to help you with whatever you need. I see Marilyn Wong just hopped on. If you want to know how to bang down doors on Capitol Hill, Marilyn's the one to talk to. She, when we do the virtual fly-in, she doesn't take no for an answer. So I still don't know how she does that. She has Congress people scared of her, so talk to her. We've got
It's
Bill.
just persistence.
What's that, Marilyn?
It's just persistence.
It's persistence.
That's all it is.
And I'm joking. Marilyn is very charming and very, very experienced as well. We've got Bill Stevens with us, Scott Sund, an expert on all things Navy. So Chris, you've got plenty of good folks here.
Thank
And
you.
Marianne Giambrone, who
Hi,
is
Marianne.
our regional leader for Mid-Atlantic. Okay. Got a few more folks joining us. Tim Hunsberger down in Lone Star region in Texas. Tim, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, sir. I have to mention, Tim, at some point I will definitely be in your neck of the woods because I have at least 3 friends that recently moved from over here in Mid-Atlantic region down to Texas. I mean, it's just booming down there. Everybody's moving to Texas.
They are indeed. And,
Yeah.
and we're saying with a bumper sticker, welcome to Texas. Would you now go back where you came from?
Well, I'm gonna have to visit. Yeah, I might not stay, but I'm gonna have to visit definitely.
Oh, no, you're welcome down here.
Oh, thank you, Tim. I'll let you know if I am in the area. And of course, Juan Len is joining us. Juan, welcome. Fair Kim, great to see you here. Madeline, great to have you here as well. And of course, John Kaskin, who is not only our RVP for Mid-Atlantic region, but also a key player in our Maritime Policy Committee. And Jim Offit, chairman of the Legislative Affairs Committee. Jim, welcome.
Thank you.
Jim, I just wanted to mention very quickly, I already, sorry, Chris, I've already embarrassed Chris by making a big point to everyone that Chris is our new RVP for Rocky Mountain. But Jim, I want to make sure that you get a chance to talk with Chris. Maybe you could set up.
Congratulations. I saw the email. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So I don't see Don yet. I'll have to send him to you. I picked up 2 new council VPs for legislative affairs in North Carolina, but I'll send you their, just got the other one the day before yesterday. I'll send you their info so we can get them on a distribution list.
Excellent, excellent. And I am keeping track of all those VPLAs, so glad to hear we've got 2 more. Al Wagner's joining us. Welcome, Al. It's good to have you here. Julie Stranges is with us as well. Welcome. And Jerry St. Germain in Florida. Jerry, how's everything down there in Florida? How's the weather? Don't make us too jealous.
Luke, speaking of council VPs, are you locating them through the annual reports that the councils have been submitting to headquarters? Because we're required to list that person
Well, we
by
haven't
name and,
that. We haven't mined that data yet, put it that way.
oh, because those reports are coming in
Yep,
as
they
we
are.
speak, and every council is being asked to identify a VP legislative affairs.
That's great. We will then have a whole list.
Yes.
Yeah, but those reports aren't due to February 15th, so I
Right.
know in my region, only 1 council has submitted theirs so far, and that's
Yep.
pretty
Just-
early. So
Thank
Yeah,
you.
they're due February 15th, right?
Well, thanks, Marilyn. That is a very good point. And I believe Karen was kind enough to kind of point that out. I think we had a meeting of region presidents, also council presidents, and Karen from membership. We had asked if she could make the point. Please let us know who your VPLAs are, and I think that she did that, so that's fantastic. That's going to help our efforts during the virtual fly-in, very much. So we're very excited about that. I see that we have Steve Kaufman joining us. Steve, welcome. It's good to have you here.
See you.
Bresnahan, Don Giles. Hey, Don, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. Ed Crepage, my buddy from Liberty Region. Me and Ed did a bunch of the virtual fly-in meetings last year, or I should say that I just bombarded Ed with emails until he agreed to do some calls with me. So Ed, good to have you here. Evelyn Moy is with us, and Ron Brooks. Good to have both of you. Tom Pruder's here. Tom, we have a call set up for Friday to talk about some things going on in Pensacola. So welcome.
Thank you.
And folks, if you don't mind, we're just going to give everybody maybe just a couple more minutes. We've got a bunch of folks joining in here. Captain Tylowski's with us. Welcome,
Hey,
sir.
Greg.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Luke.
I think we're going to have pretty good attendance for this meeting, so I'm just going to give folks a couple more minutes before we start.
Hey, Luke, this is John Casket, and I'm on the Beltway, so I'm going to stay on mute until I can get into a place that's safe.
That sounds good, John. Be careful. That is one of the worst places to drive. Nobody knows how to drive on the Beltway, so be very careful. When your exit comes up, if you got to hang up, I completely understand. So drive carefully, John. And thanks for joining us. Okay. See, Jim Semerad is here joining us. In case anyone did not have a chance to see the background information on Jim that was included in one of our weekly newsletters, let me know. I can send that out. I think we sent it out about 2 weeks ago. And don't forget, there's always the option. If you have a background in the Sea Services, family member in the Sea Services, whatever the case may be, we'd love to hear your story. So please share it with us. We'll put it out in the newsletter. We could even put it out in Sea Power Magazine or Anchor Up. These stories they're really beneficial to our other members so that folks know, this is who we're supporting. We're supporting folks that served, have served, continue to serve, and things of that nature. So please keep that in mind. Jerry, completely understand, not a problem. I think we'll be talking with you pretty soon anyway. So don't worry if you've got a few other things on your schedule. And folks, just in case anyone in your region was unable to attend, that wanted to be part of this meeting, it is being recorded. As soon as we have it uploaded, we typically upload it to our Navy League YouTube channel. I'll send that link around and everyone can just go back and watch this at their convenience. So we're trying to do that more just in case, these meetings conflict with anyone's schedule. We want to make sure folks still have access to that information. I see we have Sada Fuentes joining us. Hey, Sada, how are you? Good to have you here with us.
Hi, Happy New Year, everyone.
Oh, thank you. Happy New Year.
Wow, it's already been a couple of weeks. Sada, you and I have to talk at some point. We haven't spoken to each other yet. Sada is my source of information for pretty much everything that's happening out there in the maritime world. So if I haven't checked in with her yet, then I'm missing something, I can tell you that much. Okay. Jim, I think we've got a bunch of folks on. I'm sure a few more will be joining us, but if you'd like, we can probably go ahead and get started.
Hello, David.
Hey, David, how are you feeling? Good? Okay.
Bionic Man.
So if folks are not aware, David just got an upgrade to run a marathon. So now he's going to be out there, running the streets of Hawaii.
Yeah, I'm lucky just to walk to the bathroom with this new hip, but it's working great.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, David. It's good to have you here. Jim, I'm not sure if you might have stepped away for a moment, but just in case you did, folks, I'm going to go ahead and start mentioning just a couple of things. Obviously, one of the reasons that this meeting is so important, as well as our meeting with the RVPs tomorrow and our training session next week, the reason they're so important is because we are coming up on our big virtual fly-in. We have renamed that the Sea Services Hill Surge. Bit of a mouthful, but basically this is the same as the virtual fly-in that we did last year. The virtual fly-in is the biggest advocacy push that we do all year. It is time to line up with the appropriation season, when Capitol Hill is really looking into where they're going to allocate money, what resources are required for the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Merchant Marine. This is when we really have the best opportunity to bring our asks, which of course are the primary asks from the Sea Services, to their offices and make sure they are tracking what things are really important for our Sea Services. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. However, we're not going to be looking into where all the information is necessarily and how to do a brief. Those are things we're going to go over during the training. Today, what I hope to do is talk a little bit more about what we've completed so far, where we are at this point, what we're still working on, and kind of the timeline going forward. I don't know if we have somebody hopping on. Owen, good to have you here. Hi, Owen. Welcome.
Hi, Lorenz. How are you? Thank you.
Good, thanks. So let me start off by mentioning what's been sent out to the RVPs so far. So we have created a list of members of Congress for every single region. So each RVP should have a full list, every single member of Congress, House representatives, and senators for your entire region. We went a few steps further and broke that down into tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3. Tier 1 is most important, folks. These are the folks that are chairs or ranking members of the full committees that oversee the Sea Services. So the Armed Services Committee, the Appropriations Committee, Commerce Committee, things of that nature. If in your region you have a member of Congress who serves as the chair or ranking member of one of those committees, that person's going to be in your tier 1. That's the first page of this spreadsheet that we sent around. Some of you will see that you don't have anyone on tier 1. That's just because for whatever reason in your region, you don't have a member of Congress sitting on one of those positions. Tier 2 is anyone that just serves in a committee or subcommittee with jurisdiction over the Sea Services. So for many of you, your tier 2 is going to be probably the larger of the groups. These are folks that we really would like to speak to if possible. Tier 1 is top priority. Tier 2, these are folks that do have a say in what happens with the Sea Services. So they serve on the wider Armed Services Committee. Maybe they serve on the Sea Power Subcommittee or the Readiness Subcommittee or whatever the case may be. So these are folks that we really want to talk to. So second in priority to the tier 1, but still very important. Tier 3, the final one, these are folks that are in your region, but don't serve on any of the committees that have anything to do with the Sea Services. So unless there's a full vote in the House or a full vote in the Senate, these are not folks that necessarily get too involved in what we're doing. So when it comes to managing your time, tier 1 and tier 2 is really where you want to spend the majority of it. Tier 3, if you can reach out to them, if you can get in touch with them, that's great. But if you have, limited bandwidth, not enough volunteers, not enough time, perhaps, tier 3 is just kind of, hey, it'd be great if you can talk with these folks, but if you can't, that's understandable. So that went out to your RVPs, just so you know, as well as the VPLA list that we have so far. Marilyn was just mentioning that by February 15th, hopefully we'll have a more accurate, more up-to-date list of Vice President for Legislative Affairs for each particular council. However, RVPs, you have the list that we have right now. So if you look through your region and see that there are some names that need to be changed, edited, added, deleted, whatever the case may be, let us know and we'll go ahead and update those now. That's just a great bit of information for us to have as we're trying to kind of disseminate information. Last thing I want to mention in terms of the information that went out to the RVP, we are putting together a list of Navy League members by region. So each RVP, you will have a full list of all the Navy League members in your region. We are trying to break down by district. That's kind of a heavy lift, so we're doing our best with that. I can't guarantee that's going to happen. We're trying a couple different things. Obviously, it's not easy to take about 28,000 members and break them down by district. So, we're trying to work with that. But one way or the other, we will certainly get you a list of all the Navy League members in your region. So if you want to reach out to them, ask if there's anyone that's interested in participating in this Hill Surge. Remember, again, they don't necessarily have to be willing to go through all the training. If they just want to sit in on a meeting, that's fine. If they're that's fine. In fact, we highly encourage that. So just kind of keep that in mind. And as soon as we get that list out there, we will let you know. So I can see that Jim Offit is on. Jim, just so you know, what I was just discussing was.
Yep, I heard most of it.
Okay.
When you don't plug in either of your computer sources, they tend to go away. So, and anyhow, I guess I forgot my checklist about checking the wall plug.
That's understandable. Okay, good.
The old ONOFF switch, huh?
No, it's called the wall plug. You got to make sure the plug was in the wall, because everything connected to the multi thing, and it wasn't turned on. Didn't help.
So Jim, our next item was going to be the website. I just wanted to mention this quickly. Again, we're going to dig into this in a lot more detail during the training on Monday, and RVPs are going to be talking to you about this tomorrow during our meeting. But I just want to mention that the Quorum website, we're kind of building it to be one-stop shopping for everything that you're going to need for advocacy, and particularly for this virtual fly-in or the Sea Services Hill Surge. We have new district profiles that are just about completed. They're going to have some fantastic information for you. I know I've mentioned this before, but we updated them so that they now have the total number of Sea Service personnel in each state, the total number of defense dollars that are spent in each state for various weapon systems, the total number of those defense dollars that are spent on Navy and Marine Corps weapon systems of note that are built in each state. This is great information to have when you're sitting down with a member of Congress. Did somebody have a question?
It's me. I got it.
Okay, that's all right. So you're going to have that information. You're also going to have all of the Navy installations, all of the Marine Corps installations, all the Coast Guard installations, all listed in those district profiles. So when you sit down with a member of Congress, you can tell them, by the way, did you know you have X number of Sea Service personnel in your district? They're working out of these installations. These weapon systems are being built. This amount of money is being allocated to that. So you can obviously see why this is so important, why it's so meaningful to you, as well as the number of Navy League members in each district. We'll have that number on the district profiles. I can't guarantee that we'll get the list of each individual member out to you, but again, we are trying to make that happen. Also want to mention, in terms of what we have put up on Quorum, we're working on our new presentation and new issue briefs related to the asks that we have for each Sea Service. New toolkits. We'll have a specific toolkit for all of our RVPs and a toolkit for folks that want to participate in the fly-in. And the last thing I'll mention on Quorum, last year when we did the virtual fly-in, we had an issue with the calendar because we never really had a calendar. We just kind of had this Excel spreadsheet where each region would kind of put their meetings that they had scheduled, which member of Congress they were meeting with, who on their team would be meeting with them, so on and so forth. What we've created on Quorum is actually similar to the kind of after action brief that we used to ask you to put in, where it's basically, here's the date and time that we had this meeting, here's who we met with, here's what we discussed, were they supportive, not supportive, whatever the case may be. We did that after each meeting, but we basically built something similar that you can fill out before each meeting. It's only a couple of fields, very similar, and it's going to go into this master calendar. We can all track who's got what meetings where. It's going to be very, very easy. Again, it's basically you just put in, here's the date and time of the meeting, here's who we're meeting with, and here's who's going to be on that meeting. You put that in, and they'll go into that Quorum platform, and we're going to have this whole built-out calendar, which will be much more efficient, much more convenient than what we had last year. And with that, I would like to move into kind of where we are now in terms of what the national team's doing, what the RVPs are doing, and what individual Navy League members can be doing. But before I do that, I'll pause and ask Jim Offit if there's anything that he wanted to go over regarding the website or regarding kind of the documents that we sent out to the RVPs.
Unmute, Jim, unmute.
Yeah, Jim, you're muted.
Oh, well, I lost my camera for a while, you know. Okay, good. No, I don't have anything to add. Look, a nice summary. Some of you, we're getting to the age where I know some of this is repetition from before, but you know, many of you may have forgotten it. So we'll go over it. And a reminder that if you have any questions and things that are said and you want to follow up, just send Luke and I an email, you know, because Luke sends the emails, you have his, and if it's something that I need to see, he'll forward to me if you don't have my email. But don't be afraid to ask some questions on the emails if you don't want to ask them on this forum. So again, better to ask and be informed than not. So let's use that as our philosophy for going forward. So great. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Scott, unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just have a real quick question. In the past, you guys have purchased these kind of CQ roll call books, but obviously since we're all here in the virtual world now, I don't know whether you guys have done that again or whether we're up to ourselves. I use it in my own work, so I bought my own, but I don't know if you guys have bought a bunch of those and need to distribute them out to people, but I find them really valuable because of the enormous amount of information that is in this little book here about everything you could possibly want to know about a member of Congress, what committees are, who's on the committees, who's up for re-election, all sorts of interesting information off of this. Over.
Jim, I can answer that if you don't mind.
No, I don't know. So.
Okay. So let me mention, Scott, so in terms of the physical binders that we've purchased in the past, we're not getting those because we're doing everything virtually. In the past, when we had everyone come together for an actual fly-in DC, we would hand out those books, and they were very helpful. They're nice to have in your hand. However, I want to mention again, in terms of the district profiles that we will have on our Quorum website, those are going to have all of that information. I mentioned the custom fields that we included because I'm very, very proud of those, but those are just the updates that we are including. What usually goes in those district profiles and will go in them again, little bio, where the member of Congress is from, what school they went to, you know, did they serve in the military, whatever the case may be, what committees they serve on, what subcommittees they serve on, you know, office number, phone number, just some of the bills that they voted for that we care about. All of that information will be in there. So the information that you have in that CQ roll call book, that's also going to be in the district profiles. That will be easy for everyone to access right on the Quorum website. So all that information is going to be available to everyone. It's just going to be in a digital format and not in a physical binder. Let me know if you have any questions about that, if anyone has any questions.
Well, let me just add that let's explore. Some people aren't so hot on the digital side, so maybe we can get a cost for them and explore if we have a budget to cover it, or we can offer people an opportunity. So I'll talk to Scott and see where we do that, what it costs, and then I'll get back to you, Luke.
Sounds good.
Hey, Luke, Tim Hunsberger. Are there a link for that one? I either missed an email from you on the information for my RVP. If you'd kindly send that again to me, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just double check. Tim, is a good email address for you still TA Hunsberger, that one at Earthlink, or do you have a different?
No, that's the one.
Okay, I will send that out to you. The information again that I mentioned earlier, the regional members of Congress and things like that, that's what you're looking for?
Yeah, I have a suspicion I fat fingered it. Okay.
Not a problem. I can get that out to you. That's too easy, Tim. Any other questions at this time? Otherwise, I'll kind of move on to the next agenda item. Okay, so hearing none, let me mention just very briefly, again, I didn't want to dig into how we're doing the brief, where to go for all the information, everything today. That's going to be what we do during the training, and that's specifically what we're going to talk to the RVPs about tomorrow. I wanted to tell you a little bit more about what we've done so far to prepare for the virtual fly-in, where we are, and what items still need to kind of be done. So in terms of the national team, in terms of the RVPs and headquarters and the MVPs and things of that nature, the very first thing is identifying what the top 3 asks for each sea service are. So we have reached out to Navy OLA and Marine Corps OLA, and we're hoping to have those meetings either this week or next week to get their input on, you know, whichever weapon system or program or whatever the case may be, you know, happen to be their top 3 asks. Now, I'll mention the way that we typically come across these top items is we wait until the president's budget comes out, which usually comes out the first week of February. Sometimes it can be delayed. Once that comes out, each sea service puts out their unfunded priorities lists. In other words, the Navy, for example, looks at the president's budget and says, wait a minute, like last time, you just cut out an entire destroyer. So the number 1 item on our unfunded priorities list is this destroyer, which is not part of the president's budget. We typically take that and go to Congress and say, hey, listen, everybody in Congress, in particular folks on the Armed Services Committee and the Appropriations Committee, if you are looking to the president's budget for guidance, which I'm sure you are, here's a serious deficiency in the president's budget. Here's something that really needs to be fixed and adjusted when you pass your budget, which of course will be the actual budget that goes into law, the one that actually decides where the money is being allocated. So that's an example of how we usually get that top priority for the Navy. And in fact, that's exactly what we did last year. So we are still waiting on the president's budget and the unfunded priorities list. However, just by talking to some of the OLA offices, you can already get a pretty good idea of what they're looking at for this year. And that brings me to the next sea service, which is the Coast Guard. We were able to speak with their OLA already, and their focus is on readiness, in particular, overhauling their entire IT infrastructure. One of the reasons this is so important is when they go into the Arctic, they have tremendous communications problems based on some outdated IT, some outdated kind of internet infrastructure. That's something they want to adjust and overhaul. Acquisitions, making sure those things remain on target. We're talking about the polar security cutters, the offshore patrol cutters, and shoreside infrastructure. And then their recapitalization projects related to aviation. So those are kind of their top 3 asks. What we are going to do here at headquarters and at kind of the national level is put those things into a brief, put them into some issue briefs, make them as simple as possible so that when you go and talk to a member of Congress, you don't even have to say as much as I just said. We can basically boil that down into 1 bullet point about readiness. Readiness involves technology, acquisitions, recapitalization. That's where the money needs to go for Coast Guard. But of course, we'll work on putting that presentation together. In terms of the Merchant Marine and MARAD, the Maritime Administration, the new administrator, for anyone who's been following, we don't know when her confirmation will occur. She had a little bit of a contentious hearing before the Senate not too long ago, and right now it's kind of to be determined when she might actually get confirmed. Now, the good news is, quite frankly, there's no one who's a greater expert on Merchant Marine and MARAD than our very own John Kaskin, National Vice President for Legislative Affairs. He, of course, also was in touch with folks over there at MARAD, but frankly, he knows what the top asks are for the Merchant Marine and for MARAD. So we'll work with John. John works with his contacts in the field, and we'll put together those top 3 asks and again put them into the brief. So once we have those key priorities from each sea service, we are going to create the issue briefs for you folks. We're going to create the presentation. We're going to brief you on the presentation, how to describe it to members of Congress. We're going to make it as simple as possible. Just basically, again, those top priorities, something as straightforward as a destroyer or amphibious vessels for the Marine Corps, or again, polar security cutters for the Coast Guard, whatever the case may be, so that those presentations are pretty easy. The last thing I want to mention in terms of what the national team is waiting on, again, I mentioned the president's budget and the unfunded priorities list. We are waiting on The possibility of a continuing resolution. Right now, budget negotiations are ongoing. I believe the current continuing resolution expires on February 18th. For folks who don't know, what the continuing resolution does is if a budget is not agreed upon, basically a continuing resolution says, well, look, we'll just continue spending at previous levels until this particular date, and hopefully we can pass a budget by that date. The problem with this is that new programs don't get funded because you're still continuing the funding from the previous year. So for example, the tanker security program, something that we fought very hard for, we not only got it authorized, we got finally got the money for it. That money's not going to go into effect until we get a new budget. Now the good news is Democrats and Republicans seem to both really want to pass this budget. That's one thing that they want to accomplish before going to the midterms. So there does seem to be a lot of action, a lot of movement on Capitol Hill right now. Now you never know. I mean, what does that mean? We still very well could see a continuing resolution go, for months and months. Some folks are even worried it could go for a year, which would be very bad. But if we end up with another continuing resolution, that's going to be a big, big item on our virtual fly-in ask list, our to-do list, is we want to educate members of Congress on just what those continuing resolutions are doing to the sea services. And in fact, we have plenty of information on that. There was a hearing just last week where they had some of the leaders from the sea services explaining, here's the issue. Now, this was before the Armed Services Committee, so not all of Congress saw it, which is why we can, educate other members. But, the Marine Corps laid out, here's how this continuing resolution is impacting the programs we care about. Navy laid out, here's how the continuing resolution is impacting our programs, and so on and so forth. So if there's a continuing resolution, I think, and I'm going to have to discuss this obviously with the entire Legislative Affairs Steering Committee, but that's going to be at the top of our list, is telling Congress, listen, you really need to understand how bad this is for the sea services, just maintaining this continuing resolution rather than passing a budget. So with that being said, the next item is where we are now with RVPs, but I'll pause for a moment. Jim, I'll give you a chance if you have any questions or comments, and everyone else if there's anything that you're going to ask about that.
No, I'm good. You're doing great. More important people get the chance to ask questions if they have any.
Okay, well, hearing none at this point, that's fine.
Well, everybody's ready to charge ahead, huh?
Charge ahead, that sounds good to me. Okay, so where we are now with our RVPs, and again, we have our meeting tomorrow, so don't forget RVPs. Tomorrow we'll be getting together to go over in a little more detail some of the things I'm touching on today. First of all, if you get a chance, I know this is short turnaround, so don't worry about it if you haven't had a chance yet, but take a quick look at the Member of Congress documents that we sent to you, just so if you have any major questions, if something doesn't make sense, if the format looks odd to you, you don't understand where the schedule information is or whatever, we tried to make it as straightforward as possible in terms of the columns, name of the Member of Congress, their office, what committees they sit on, who their scheduler is, what their information is, etc. We tried to make it as straightforward as possible, but maybe we missed something, or maybe we made it more complicated than we needed to. So if you get a chance, take a quick look at those documents that we sent out today, and just let us know if there's any way you want us to reformat them, anything you want us to include that wasn't included already. We're happy to do that. These documents are to make life easier for you. So if we've made them difficult to understand, complicated, that's not the intent. We obviously want to go back and change them. So if you get a chance, just take a quick look at them. You don't have to look at every single member of Congress and memorize them or whatever. That's not what we're asking you to do. But if you take a look at it and right off the bat you say, wait a minute, this layout, I can't really understand what you're asking me to do here. By all means, we'd love to hear that input tomorrow so that we can adjust those and fix those things. Building teams, I know a number of RVPs have already been doing that. So basically a team is that group that's going to sit down with a member of Congress and actually do the briefing with them. You need at least 2 folks to be part of that team. One is the presenter and the other is the recorder or the note taker. Now, if one of those 2 folks happens to be a constituent of the House rep or the senator that you're speaking with, that's great. You don't necessarily need a third person. But if the presenter and the recorder are not constituents, you really want to try and have a constituent on that call. Again, Marilyn can tell you from her experience last year, there must have been at least a dozen offices that she reached out to, and their first question was, do you actually have a voter from our district in this meeting? Is there an actual constituent in this meeting? And if not, then then they actually did not take the meeting. Marilyn still got a ton of meetings, as everybody did, but there were a few where it was unfortunate we didn't get a chance to meet with them. She didn't get a chance to meet with them because there just wasn't a constituent as part of the meeting. Did anyone have a question? Okay. So building those teams, if you are an RVP, start identifying some of the folks that you think could be a presenter, a recorder, and start looking into whether or not you can find a Navy League member from each district that can be a constituent. This can be a little difficult. We are here to help you at headquarters, so just let us know. Again, we'll talk about this a little more tomorrow, but this can be a little time consuming, a little tedious. That's why we are here. We are happy to help. We are happy to take on the brunt of that. Just let us know. And that brings me to the last point in terms of the RVPs. One of the big reasons we're meeting tomorrow, besides going into more detail, is we want to identify what you need. You know, that's very important to us. Obviously, we are here to provide it, to support you, to do whatever we can to make this easy and to actually make this, you know, an enjoyable experience. The virtual fly-in doesn't have to be, you know, a big heavy lift. I think last year a number of folks had a really good time just contacting the members of Congress, talking about things they're passionate about, the Navy, the Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Merchant Marine. That's really what we want it to be. So we can do and are happy to do the majority of preliminary work, you know, identifying the members of Congress as we did, sending out that spreadsheet and doing whatever else needs to be done in that regard, so that all you have to do is hop on the computer and say, hello, Mr. House Rep, or whatever the case may be. This is what I want to talk to you about today. And when you actually get to do that, it actually can be a really rewarding experience. And then the last thing on this note is we also need to identify which regions need some help, so that, you know, maybe we can provide some backup troops, so, you know, some other folks to kind of supplement what you've got. For example, Midwest region is gigantic. That's a huge region. And I don't think there's enough folks that are active in the Midwest legislative affairs activities to really cover all of those members of Congress. So if Midwest would like to, I'm just using you as an example, if you'd like to reach out to more folks than you have the bandwidth to contact, you know, that's something that we want to know so that we can kind of step in and help you out. And I think that's true for a couple of other regions as well, where you might need a little bit of help. So that's what I had for RVPs. I'll pause for just a moment before going into kind of what Navy League volunteers can start doing as we start, you know, prepping and ramping up for the Hill Surge. Everything sounds good.
Look, just one thing. If there is anybody that wants to do these live rather than online, I think that's okay, isn't it? If the appointment can be set live.
So what you're saying, Don, I believe, is if they want to do a meeting in their district office, is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So Jim, I'm going to have to ask for your input, but I'll mention very briefly, if you're trying to do an in-person meeting with your member of Congress, don't be disappointed if that doesn't happen. The reason being, A, you know, they've probably got a pretty strict COVID protocol, and B, since it is a midterm year and election year, your House reps are going to be out and about, and they're going to, you know, if you get FaceTime with them, it's going to be at a rally or another meeting that they're having with some other group or whatever the case may be. So they, you know, they might not be doing a whole lot of meetings at their district offices. But Jim, in terms of whether or not we are encouraging in-person meetings at the district level, I'll ask for your input on that.
Well, I think all of you people are smart enough when you talk. If you're going to do an in-person meeting at a district office and you know the district manager, and you talk to him or her and get a feeling for whether or not they are doing in-person meetings. In my district and most of South Carolina, as liberal as we are about masks and gatherings, all those kinds of things, most of them don't want to do an in-person meeting. So you just have to feel out. And I would say, don't try, there's no way you're going to do an in-person meeting in Capitol Hill. But if you're going to do an in-person meeting, it's, in your district office. And like Luke said, it is election year, and they'll be start running. I mean, only 2 years. Of course, they're out raising money already. So, but we don't have anything against it. We just think that you have a better chance of scheduling a virtual meeting and catching the mock, or talk to the district when you're setting up the schedule, and even then that goes through the Washington scheduling. But with the campaigns going on, you might be able to catch the member of Congress at one of his local deals and work out with the district manager where you might get 10 or 15 minutes, before or after. But to be quite frank with you, most of those before or afters are with fundraisers in the campaign world when they're going around their district. So again, you can try, but I still think your best bet's are virtual, but we're not going to prohibit you from doing in person if you can get it. Does that answer your question, Don?
Yes, I've just got one who is not too much in tune with technology and knows the congressman. And again, if you have an opportunity at another event, that's the reason I asked. I didn't think I'm going to get very many, and I'm not going to encourage it or do any myself, most likely.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
And actually, this brings up one item, which again, we're going to be going over in the coming weeks. But as we just mentioned, don't be disappointed if you're not able to set up, a meeting, at your local district office, because these folks are running around campaigning. Even in terms of the virtual meetings that we're setting up, this is a busy year for a lot of members of the House. They've got a lot going on, as Jim mentioned, fundraising, events, rallies, whatever the case may be. Don't be disappointed if you meet with, the legislative aide that works on defense issues or national security issues, or if you meet with the chief of staff or someone along those lines. Those are good people to meet with. Obviously, the preference is to meet with the member of Congress themselves, and we had a lot of those meetings last year. Hopefully, things won't change too much during this election year. But don't be too disappointed if you meet with some of these really experienced staffers who kind of guide the member of Congress on these issues. Sometimes they can be, the person that you really want to speak to, actually, because they're going to help put together kind of the policy.
So another way of going about that is, when we were doing the in-person meetings, we would meet with staffers, and we would always ask, could we get a photo op? And the member of Congress would just come in and we'd take a picture, and we'd have 2 or 3 minutes. So again, when doing this virtually, if the virtual is in DC or in the office and the person's there, just ask them for a photo op so that we can, in fact, he can come in and just say hi, and we'll do a screensaver or something like that, and just tell them, if you don't know how to do that, just tell them, we'll take a picture of the screen so we can see the congressman, and it might work. He just might he or she might stick their nose in for a couple minutes and just say hi, because you're not going to brief them. They'll rely on their staff. Scott, did you have a question? Or
great idea.
Jim, I just want to say, Jim, that's very clever. That's a very good.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, this is Scott. I know that last year when I did several of these virtual ones, especially if I got a staffer, they were really appreciated us sending them attachments of the maritime policy and of the white papers and things that you guys have that you can download. So if you have those pre-cocked and ready to go, sometimes when you're doing a coordination to set up the time for the VTC, if you send those staffers really appreciate it, because they get tasked all the time to say, hey, give me the boss has a meeting in 20 minutes. I need to give him a half a page of something on this particular issue. And they really appreciated when we followed up with them and sent them the attachments over.
Yeah, Scott, I did the same thing. I found, you scheduled the meeting sometimes a week or two in advance, usually through the scheduler, and they gave you a name. 2 or 3 days before the meeting, I would send an email directly to the person we're meeting with, because then you have to have, most of the time I was sending them a Zoom, and I would send them the attachments at the same time. And I think only one time did somebody forget to look at their email. We called them on the telephone. They went, oh yeah, and they joined us. But that serves as a good reminder a couple or 3 days ahead of the meeting. Okay, everybody.
And again, we will have all those documents again, as we're just identifying those core asks. As soon as we have that information, we put together the issue briefs for you, the one-pagers, which, as Scott mentioned, they love those, just really straightforward, straight to the point. the presentation itself, all of those documents. And as Don Giles pointed out before, another great thing to have is your council fact sheet that you can just send them, let them know a little bit about the work your council does and things like that. But again, we'll get into that a little bit more during the training next week. So then the last item that we wanted to discuss is kind of where we are now in terms of Navy League volunteers, folks that maybe are not in the RVP position, but will be engaging in these meetings with members of Congress. What are some things you could be doing now just to kind of sharpen your skills, get yourself ready to go? One thing I would mention very quickly, if you go on our Quorum Action Center, so that's navyleague.quorum.us, again, that's navyleague.quorum.us. We have some tremendous resources there. I'll just mention a couple. One is the virtual meeting tutorial. So that is a video that we created showing you how to do a Zoom meeting, how to set it up, how to access it, how to use it. Same with WebEx, and the same with, I think, GoToMeeting. So we'll be going over that again during the training, but that video is a great starter. Go ahead and check that out so that you can refamiliarize yourself with using these virtual platforms. Our Advocacy 101 and 102 documents are still fantastic sources of information on how to request a meeting, how to conduct a meeting, how to get to your ask, how to do all those kinds of things that you're going to be doing during this virtual fly-in. We've got all of our previous trainings up there recorded. You'll see them listed, January 2021, February 2021, whatever the case may be, just all the way down. All you got to do is click on that link. It's going to take you to, again, a YouTube video on our Navy League YouTube channel, and you can go back and look at any of those trainings. Some of them are specific about the sea services, so you can get a little bit of background information, again, about Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, or Merchant Marine. The earlier ones, however, are similar to what we'll be doing next week, where it really gives you an idea of where to find the documents you're going to be using, where to find the information for the fly-in, and things of that nature, the virtual fly-in. So that's up there as well. And then don't forget, of course, that next Monday, we are doing our grassroots training, where we're really going to dive into this a lot deeper. And again, try to simplify it as much as we can. So when I say we're diving into it deeper, I don't want you to think there's just tons of minutia and detail that you have to memorize. We just want to go through what documents are going to be up on the Quorum Action Center that you can look at, where you can go to get a little bit more information, how we're going to be kind of doing the scheduling and things like that. So hopefully not too complex, but again, we will be going over the logistics a little bit more than we did today. So with that being said, I'll hand it over, Jim, to you, and if anyone has any questions or comments.
Luke, I'm sorry. What was that?
I'm sorry, Lou, you're breaking up a little bit.
Navy.quorum?
So it is Navy.
I'm sorry, Luke, it's Lou Liotti.
Yeah. Lou, we've got you. I'm going to put it in the chat, and then I'm also going to send it out to everybody. Sorry, I didn't actually put it in the outline that I sent earlier. So it is Navy League.
I have the outline.
Quorum.org.
Okay.
Apologies, Lou. I actually did not put it in the outline, but I'll respond to everyone that's on that email with this website, navyleague.quorum.org. That's QUORUM.org. I just put it in the chat, but I will also send it out via email to everyone.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, John, anything you want to add?
No, I just want to thank Luke for how much effort he's put into organizing these virtual fly-ins. I've participated in every fly-in since the beginning. The only thing that he isn't providing is a noisy place to get together at the Rayburn cafeteria and providing us coffee. But otherwise, I think we're set to with all the information and material to do better than we've done in the past. And I thank everyone who's on the line about their participation, and looking forward to seeing if we can get these folks to do the right thing one more time.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Bill, you just unmuted yourself. Marilyn, go ahead.
Oh, when do you anticipate that the Hill surge will commence?
Well, I think we're going to wait until we have a president's budget for sure. And then I don't know if we'll see how that's going and whether or not we also get the unfunded priorities. But I don't think there's any point in doing it before we see the president's budget. Although the Hill will be meeting, quite frankly, if the president's budget gets delayed too much, I think we want to start probably not later than March 1st. Normally the president's budget comes down in February, but I don't think if we have it by March 1st, we'll go ahead and start.
Luke, do we have confirmation on a RVP for Southern California yet?
Yes, so our RVP for Southern California is Andy Marabe. And Jim, I believe you've been in touch.
We have new emails for him. I've been, so he switched companies, and we've got, I think, now both a home and a work email. So we're good. We're good. We got to get him roped in. He came in after the virtual fly-in last year, and the same thing for some of you other who didn't participate in the virtual fly-in last year. We may have just a special small meeting with you folks and see where you are. So, but you have to let us know if you think you need that, or if your RVPs want to send people who missed last time to a little training session, we can do that too. We're available for whatever you need.
Great.
Anything else?
I've got a question. Since we've got Dave Livingston and Navy League headquarters staff together, I was curious about what's going on in Hawaii with the Navy leakage scandal affecting the Coast Guard and everyone else. Just kind of wanted to hear a little bit about what you guys in Honolulu are doing, what headquarters is saying, what Big Navy is saying, and just look for a little guidance there and hear a little bit more updates, because I'm only kind of seeing it in local Hawaii press. So I was curious to hear more from you, Luke, and from David about it.
Dave, if you don't mind, I'm going to jump in very quickly because I actually spoke with CEO Stevens about this morning. So we had a meeting with the Honolulu Council, also some of the members of our Maritime Policy Committee, to really go over this incident and everything surrounding it and identify where the Navy League wants to, or let me rephrase what the Navy League might want to say about this. So the most important thing is that our Honolulu Council has been very, very involved in helping the families that have been impacted by this incident. I'll let Dave tell you more about that. But just to make it very clear, the Navy League doesn't just talk about things. We don't just put out press releases and op-eds. We had boots on the ground, our Honolulu Council out there providing snacks, bottled water, putting on events, soliciting contributions and all types of things, doing tremendous work to help the families that are impacted by this incident. In terms of the Navy League making any kind of comment on the larger incident, we are really being very cautious at this moment. The one thing that we are mentioning is that the Navy is involved in a pretty thorough investigation of what happened out there, and until the results of that investigation become apparent, we're not doing much in the way of making any comments or giving opinions at this time. So what we're really focused on is just kind of highlighting the work that our Honolulu Council has been doing on the ground. And with that, Dave, I'll hand it over to you.
And with that, I have nothing else to say.
I stole Dave's thunder. Sorry about that.
Our local thing is we're handing out placards for people to put in their shower. It just says, please do not smoke in the shower. But other than that, everything's we're really just supporting our local lawmakers and supporting our Navy and whatever decisions they come up with. We're not making any comments about right, wrong, what next steps are. We're going to make sure that everybody has a lot of opportunity to air this situation. And when those decisions are made, we'll support them. But like Luke said, we have been out there meeting the needs. When we get a call and they say we're short on bottled water, we deliver it. But there's been a lot, I mean, literally hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on this to make sure that these people are okay. The good news about this is, as you all know, we've been impacted by COVID in Hawaii, and our hotels have been really devastated. And now they're filled with military personnel, and the government's paying that bill. So thank you all for keeping our economy alive. Your tax dollars are at work.
Well said.
Okay,
Thanks.
thanks for the update, Dave. And if you guys need sponsorship for some of these things that you're doing to help folks, or if you have any updates or anything, please keep me on your list.
Thanks, Sada. That's great to know. Dave, are you connected with Sada? Do you have her email and other information if you need to reach out to her?
Oh, I'm sure she gets 14 a day from me like the rest of you. And I just want to apologize for that up front.
That's all right.
We love it, David.
Yeah, it makes us all wish we were taking a vacation out there to Hawaii. Those of us who have had the pleasure of visiting your state, every time I get an email from Dave, I think to myself, man, I was out there just last year. When can I go back?
You can go again.
Great job on the Daniel Inouye, David.
I'm going next month.
Incredible, 8 days, 10 events. It's the reason why I finally went and got the hip operation. I was running up and down the ship and those piers and realized that I've been putting this thing off for 10 years. But we got through it, and it was unbelievable. The council, all the volunteers that came together, literally tens of thousands of people showing up to events over that 8-day period. And it was just very, very well done, and made us all very proud that the Navy and their relationship with the Honolulu Council and obviously with the National Council or National Navy League, it just made us look great, and we're very pleased with the results. And by the way, just FYI, we raised over $800,000 for that event, so it was a pretty well paid for event as well.
Commissioning. I think you set a record, David.
One I hope you all surpass quickly. A lot of great commissionings coming on.
Absolutely.
Okay, any last word, anybody?
Just real quickly, the Marin County Council, we make a point of trying to send every congressman after we speak with them our newsletter with a picture of the congressman, so he knows that we're actually publicizing him to the community at large, his constituents.
Thanks, Bill. In fact, actually, Bill, I might ask you and Marilyn to maybe give some advice during one of our training sessions on all of the follow-up activities that you did, because frankly, I think we all can learn a lot about that after your meetings. I know that you would send a handwritten note to the office of the member of Congress you spoke with. You mentioned sending the newsletter. I think in terms of after action or after meeting follow-up, your region was just really on point. So maybe during next week's training, I'll reach out to you ahead of time. Maybe we can have you tell folks a little bit more about what you did after.
Sure, Luke. We'd love to. Thank you.
Of course, of course. Excellent.
Yeah, we send them everything but Maryland's dessert.
Oh, that would have sealed the deal. Of course, I don't know if we're allowed to do that. So let's avoid sending gifts. That's not something we're encouraging. Don't send gifts to members of Congress. Okay. Any other questions or concerns at this point?
Just the last comment I put in the chat, the links to all the cool things that went on with the commissioning. So if you want to copy and paste that into your browser and click on those links, you'll see a lot of great things that were taking place.
Very nice. Everyone, just so you know, go ahead and go into that chat feature. And that is where Dave has included photos of the commissioning event, American Patriot Dinner, commissioning breakfast and ceremony, Mahalo dinner. Oh boy, this looks really nice. So everyone make sure and get a good look at that.
Oh, just one quick historical note. The Kitty Hawk is leaving Puget Sound, is going to get towed down to Brownsville around the Cape, and they're going to scrap it down there. So
Lots of pictures for us aviators, lots of pictures of that. Sad day. The last conventionally powered aircraft carrier.
Yep.
The Brownsville scrapping yard paid $1 for it, and then they paid another $1 for the Kennedy.
Yeah.
Oh, Kenny's still around?
David always does a great job on that for us.
So if these things are $1, can I get that for my retirement? I just want to sail around the world. Okay. How do you get that deal? That's what I want.
Boy, that's a great deal. I mean, and scrap just went up according to the Wall Street Journal on Monday about triple the price because they're running out of steel. I mean, they got a steal of it, no pun intended. So
Right on. Yeah.
I think you're right about that.
Call-
I'm
You
sorry.
gotta call NAVC. Luke, if you want one of those ships, you gotta call NAVC.
I'll let them know. I'll say, listen, I'll even bid them $2. I've got $2.
But you have to remove it, and you need 3 ocean tugs. And how many miles are they traveling if they go down around to South America and back up to Texas? You know, they can't go through the Panama
No.
Canal. So there's
Panama
a little
Canal.
bit of expense, a little bit of contractual requirements after you give them the dollar.
So Bill Hewitt just sent.
John, you're laughing. He knows.
I don't see Bill Hewitt here. I'll have to send him an.
Yeah, he's there.
He's here. I
He's
got
there.
Bill.
Yeah, he's there.
Okay.
Wave at us, Bill.
Say hi, Bill.
He's looking at his
there he
screen.
is. Okay. I wonder what the issue is. Let me see. Not connected to.
Now he's red. Now go green.
Okay.
It's still muted. It was white before.
I'm sending Bill an unmute request. I'll see if that pulls him in.
Yeah, he just said my sound
There you
is
go.
off.
Hi, Bill.
I gotta
Now
hear
you're
you.
good.
Hey, Bill.
We hear you.
Okay, that's it, huh?
We've got you on. Bill, did you have a question?
thanks for setting it up.
Okay. Bill Hewitt, did you have anything that you wanted to ask about or anything to say? Just want to make sure I give you a chance. Okay. If not, I'll send an email to Bill after this just to double check with him. And yeah, I guess if no other questions or comments, listen, thanks everyone for being so flexible. Obviously this week was a little change in schedule because of the holiday on Monday and then also because of the Navy League event on Tuesday. So thank you all for being flexible. Thank you all so much for the work that you're doing. Again, our job here at headquarters is to make your job easy. So please let us know how we can do that better. And I guess that's all I've got for now. Okay.
Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Job.
Take
Aloha.
care and God bless.
Aloha.
Texas is giving you a salute.
Thanks.